record holder for the most yards ever passing in a single game, Rohan Davey. Emmitt Smith joins us in studio.
It's the first time I played in such a place that had that much noise.
Jock, throw a rock and you'll hit a three-star cornerback in Louisiana.
Well, if you're a baseball fan or a sports fan at all, you should know the name Darryl Strawberry, a four-time world champion. He hit 335 home runs in the majors, 1,000 RBI, an 8-time All-Star. I can go on, but I have so much I want to talk to him about because he's coming to Baton Rouge as well. Darryl, great to meet you. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's a gloomy day here in St. Louis, and it's good to be inside on the Zoom call.
Good stuff, man. Well, look, as I was getting ready for this interview, I'm watching some YouTube video of you, and I guess the best way I can describe it is beautiful violence. The way you hit the baseball and stared those home runs down, you really had a majestic swing, and certainly one of the all-time home run hitters we've ever witnessed.
Well, I created to myself as a young athlete growing up and playing baseball. Watching baseball, Pete Rose and Dave Parker was my idols, and I just saw them play at the highest level and how great they were. I loved Dave Parker because he was 6'5", and he was a left-hand hitter like me. And there was Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle. I saw him play for the Reds, and he wasn't Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Joe Morgan. He was Pete Rose. His uniform was always dirty. I said, that's what a baseball player looks like. If you really want to play baseball, your uniform has to be dirty, because if your uniform is not dirty, that means you're not doing nothing.
Yeah. My high school basketball team, Darryl, my uniform always smelled good. That was a bad sign. Wasn't clean enough.
Yeah, you didn't want it to smell good. You wanted it to smell dirty.
That's right. That's right. If you ain't washing your uniform, you're not playing, right? So, and you mentioned Pete Rose's name, and obviously he's the one that's always talked about not being in the Hall of Fame. And your resume, the fact that you're not in the Hall of Fame, you've been retired as a Yankee, as a Mets. You're number 18 retired. You're in the Mets Hall of Fame. Is it something that's unfulfilled, or is it just part of your story?
No, it's not unfulfilled. It's the way it's supposed to go. Everybody's not going to get into the Hall of Fame. A lot of guys are going to have great careers, never going to make it. And that's just part of the journey. And I think my journey was what it was supposed to be. My career went the way it was supposed to be, because I would never be who I am today. I would still be thinking about the uniform. I would still be thinking about if I could have, should have. And that's what happens with a lot of people. They get consumed with that, and they forget that life has two parts. One part is this, being an athlete, and what's the next part of your life? I think you have to reinvent yourself. A lot of athletes can't cross over. A lot of athletes can't take the uniform off, and all they can remember is what they did on the field. Trust me, I don't forget what I accomplished. I've accomplished a lot of great things, 4 championships, all-star games, rookie of the year. I've had some great big moments in baseball, and I'm forever grateful for those. Having my number retired was probably the icing on the top of the cake that really made me realize that you have really done something, and it will stand forever. Nobody will ever wear your uniform number again over in Queens.
Yeah, awesome. There's a guy that lives down the road in Prairieville, Louisiana, by the name of Will the Thrill Clark. And he's another guy that you say, well, Will Clark's in the Hall of Fame, right? No, he's not. And so I guess that's an endless conversation, right? We can talk forever about who's in and who isn't.
Well, yeah, Will was a great player. I mean, he competed at the highest level. And like I said, some guys and a lot of guys that get missed. But I'm one of those guys that I'm not bitter about it. I think if you get bitter about it, you can't move on with what you're supposed to move on in life. And it's going to be a lot of guys that, like I said before, that come along, that play this game, they're very successful. And there are going to be other guys that completely jumped over or didn't have the kind of success and the kind of player that Will was and I was. We were out there and we competed at the highest level, and we put up some great numbers in a time of playing. And that's just the way it goes.
What's it like to hit one of those big home runs in New York City? We know it's tough to play there. We know the fans are passionate, and they can also chew you up and spit you out if things aren't going well. But I'm looking at some of those old videos and these people jumping up and down, screaming. I mean, it feels like we could hear it here in Louisiana. It was so loud. Some of those moments. What's that like?
It's just like being in Dominican Republic in one of those foreign countries like that. You know, when your fans go crazy. That's what New York is like. You know, the fans there are crazy. They're passionate about the game. They're passionate about sports and their team. Their team is important to them. Their players are important to them, and they really truly want to win every year, not just one year. Every year they believe coming into the season, you have a good enough team to put on the field because it's New York and you should win. And that hitting big home runs like that, when you run around the bases like that, you just get chills. I mean, it's just a moment that you cannot explain when the crowd is standing up on their feet and yelling and being crazy. It's a great feeling being an athlete and knowing that you played in front of some of the greatest fans in sports.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about, obviously, battling addiction and overcoming it and so forth. I would imagine playing in New York City, I would imagine playing in Los Angeles, that anxiety comes into play and trying to live up to something. And like you said, like the Hall of Fame thing, these man-made created things that we try to fill a void with, the goal line just keeps getting moved further and further, right? I mean, no matter what we do, if we're trying to fill ourselves with these things, they're good. They make us feel good, but at the same time, you can never please everybody, and you can never, I guess, be fulfilled with that stuff completely.
Yeah, you will never be fulfilled with that stuff completely, and it's the things that we go through is because of where we come from, the brokenness of our life. I grew up in a dysfunctional home. My dad was a raging alcoholic. All I saw was him coming home drunk all the time and acting crazy. And he came home for the last time when I was about 14 years old, pulled out a shotgun, said he was going to kill the whole family. Me and my brothers went into action. My brother Ronnie went in the kitchen, grabbed a butcher knife. I grabbed a frying pan. And my mother got us out of the house so we didn't kill him that night. It could have been a tragedy in my life before I ever put the uniform on. So brokenness is so real. And when you don't deal with brokenness, putting on the uniform doesn't heal the brokenness of who you are inside. And I just remember going through that process. I hated my father for what he did to us. He used to beat us and made us believe that we were nothing and we would never amount to anything. So playing sports helped me cover up what was really wrong. I never dealt with it, so it was just there. I just stuffed it down in. So I get to the major leagues and get successful, and you live this lifestyle. Nobody's going to ever tell me what to do. So I go into this lifestyle, and now I get money. Now I become a complete heathen, a complete womanizer, a complete alcoholic, a complete drug addict, a complete sinner, rich, famous, living behind community gates, broken, and have nothing but a bunch of stuff. And it wasn't until I met Christ, that's when I got delivered and I got set free from all that. That bondage on the inside is real. You can cover it up whatever way you want to cover it up. I'm no different than people in Hollywood. They cover it up and can't get out of addiction and lose their life. I didn't lose my life. I could have lost my life in addiction, but I wasn't. I was spared because I surrendered myself, because I had a wonderful mother who was behind the scenes praying for me while I was living this Major League Baseball heathen lifestyle, and she was covering me. I'm living the legacy of what she prayed for. And then I had a wife that I have today, my wife Tracy, been married to her 19 years, and she's in recovery for a long time too. But she was the one God was using her to pull me out of places to get delivered and set me back into church. So it's a long process. We should just never point our fingers at people, because we really don't know what people go through. We just assume they should be well because they got money. Money don't make you well. Money make you buy stuff.
Yeah, and you'll be at the Family Worship Center this Sunday, March the 22nd. You are a minister. You will speak at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. I'm also told that there'll be an autograph meet and greet after the late service as well. Just real quick on your father, where do you think that came from? Do you think he felt his life was unfulfilled? He didn't live up to maybe what he expected of himself or what others, and he channeled that into violence against his own family?
Well, from hearing from his own family on the other side, his aunties and grandmother, that his father was alcoholic and his father used to beat his mother in front of him, and he was the only child. And I think a lot of times people don't understand what you see, that's what you become. Mm-hmm. You're in a household like that, and there's no principles. And I think he just struggled for his life like that. And he just had a wrong direction growing up as a kid. and he brought it into our life, and then it ended up just trickling down, to me. But the good thing about it was I was able to break the curse off of my family and off of my children. My children never had to suffer like that. I never put my hand on my children, because when my father put his hands on me like that, it left me scarred. It left these deep wounds inside of me and bitterness inside of me, and I didn't want my kids to ever feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, take me down the timeline. So you go to the Mets in 1983. You're a rookie of the year. In 86, right, is the world championship with the Mets. So in 1986, are you happy? You're in New York City. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, as the song says. You're a world champion. You're a star. Are you happy?
I'm happy playing baseball, but I'm not happy as a person. Baseball is just a game, and that's only going to last for so long. I'm happy about the fact that playing in New York and having a career and excelling and being able to do all these things. But I always wondered inside, who am I? What is this all about? At the end of the day, as I got older. See, what most people don't realize, in 86, I was 24 years old. So you think you're going to win every time. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't work like that. I mean, I only got back to the playoffs one more time in 1988, and we lost in the National League Championship Series against the Dodgers. So that was it. The window is so small. You have to take advantage of the time that you're there, because a lot of times guys think it's going to last forever and I'm going to be a hero forever, and that's not the case. When it's over, then what are people going to say? Then what are people going to look at you when it's all over? And people are always going to have opinions what you should have done. Nobody walks in anybody else's shoes. They never know what, the life that has been given to them and what they need to do to better their life. So I needed to better my life from not a baseball standpoint, but from a man standpoint. And I think that was the biggest thing that I had to figure out after having all the success at the major league level.
Yeah, and a quick detour. I admired what you said about Bill Buckner and the fact that, that whole thing was kind of pinned on him. And I mean, mental health. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, we didn't have internet back then, but I know he was getting crucified on television, radio. And as you pointed out, there were plays leading up to that. And that just kind of got picked as the thing. And he had to live with that.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate because Bill Buckner was a great player. Almost had 3,000 hits, played a great first baseman. I guess he was older at that time. And I'm quite sure I felt the same way. I would want to be on the field if we're going to win this championship. And there was, he tried to make a play, a ground ball Mookie hit, tried to beat Mookie to the bag, and then picked up his glove too fast, and the ball went under. And they just crucified him. They killed the guy. It's unfortunate that he had to go through that. But there were plays leading up to that where guys couldn't get anybody out. They had Girardi, he had a chance to get somebody out. Stanley, he had a chance to get somebody out. They didn't close the door. So they want to point the finger on one particular player. And it was unfortunate he had to move himself out of Boston because they did not let him live that down just because of that one play.
Yeah. And then our guy Bartman with the Cubs, right? The fan that tries to catch the foul ball, and everything would happen with that as well. We can be vicious to one another for sure. So when do the problems, Darryl, when do drugs begin to creep into your life as a professional athlete?
Drugs started to creep in early in my career, when I was in New York. I mean, I was only taking amphetamines. I never got into hard drugs, but those were drugs that were around baseball. So those were amphetamines to keep you going to play every night. So I started getting addicted to those. And I was already addicted to alcohol, drinking at an early age. And then I went from there. When I went to the West Coast, going back home, that's when I started making all the wrong turns. And that's when I really got into the heavy drugs, like smoking cocaine and doing all those kind of things, and really getting lost and embedded into darkness and situations, and I knew better, because I'm from there and in the streets, and I know all the back roads. And that was a bad thing for me to know all those back roads, because I knew how to get around them. I knew how to navigate myself around them. That's probably why I'm still alive. I didn't put myself in situations where they were deadly, but I could have been dead, just like any other celebrity that was involved in drugs. Drugs will kill you at some point, and most people don't think they will, but they will. I was very fortunate that I didn't lose my life through addiction.
Yeah, there are a million stories, sad stories. I'm sorry, this is out of left field. Did you ever cross paths with Whitney Houston when you were in the New York area? Because to me, that's like the saddest drug story ever, right? Here comes this beautiful woman who's got the greatest voice we've ever heard, who delivers all these great songs that we love, and she's dead before she's 50 because of drugs and killing herself, basically.
It's really heartbreaking. For Whitney, for Elvis, for Prince, for Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And you're talking about icons, who you looked up and the music and what they brought as from a personal standpoint as you stand out and watch them perform. And then this life behind the scene, this darkness behind the scene. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, rich, or poor. If you continue to go down those roads and taking drugs, they're going to eventually kill you. I've seen so many, not just celebrities, I've seen so many young people lose their life. I've seen so many other friends lose their life in direction. And it just leads you all to all the wrong places. And that's what they're there for. That's what has caused so many in this country to turn into bad habits and lose their direction.
Are you a functioning drug addict as a major leaguer? I mean, are you able to perform at a high level and somehow still be taking these things, or what was going on?
Of course, I was a very functioning major leaguer and taking amphetamines. I mean, it wasn't like they were like driving you off the cliff of the edge to go kill yourself. It was a performance, that kept you focused. It made you more focused than anything. It wasn't like, steroids where it was building your muscles up or anything. It wasn't that type of drug. It was just a drug that you take, amphetamine, that gives you this, energy and this focus and this determination to stay focused for a very long time and not lose sight of what you were doing. And I was very good at it. And, but it becomes a habit. You can't get out of it once you get in it. And just like anything, just like eating food, you can't get out of the habit until you break the cycle of it. And it was the same thing with the amphetamines and the same thing with the hard drugs. It wasn't until I broke the cycle and surrendered to it, then I was no longer addicted to it.
Yeah, I watched an interview you did. You said the amphetamines made the baseball look like a beach ball coming in and your eyes got big, but then eventually they start to wear off and you've got to take more, and it's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. You got to take more. It goes to a higher and higher level as you once you start, then you need more. Then you need more. You need stronger pills to keep you going as you get older, because your body becomes different, and it's not like it when you're young when you're doing these things.
Yeah. So there's the drugs that lead to a downfall, and then there's the women also that you talked about. I've watched a lot of documentaries on both music and athletes. The band Kiss, right, Darryl? The guys,
of course.
Two of those guys couldn't stop doing drugs, and the other two couldn't stop chasing women. And altogether, it's not good. So how does that, when you're doing drugs, how do you compare that to, you can't quench your thirst for women and it just kind of, leading you astray?
It all runs hand in hand. It all runs together. It's all one big lie. It's all one big party. It's all one big fantasy. You get out there and you get involved and you think you're Superman. Now, all these women are attracted to you. Why? Because you put a uniform on. You look good in your uniform. They know that you do something great. And they want to be a part of that. Just like a musician, they want to be a part of who they are. They don't care if it's just having fun with you. They're not looking for anything. Back in the days in the 80s, it was easy because you didn't have social media, you didn't have cameras, you didn't have video, so you can do whatever you want. You can go out and get it into any kind of things you want to get into. And women are everywhere. It's always going to be like that. People call them groupies. I never called them groupies. I just called them ladies that just wanted to have fun. And guys want to have fun too. And it's unfortunate. Guys are married and still want to have fun. It's just unfortunate. Why? Because we're living a sinful lifestyle. Let's just make that clear. Most people wonder why we do what we do. It's because there is no principles. We're living according to the flesh, and the flesh always want more. I want more of this, more of that. I don't care if I won a championship. I don't care if I haven't enough money, I still want something else. I don't care if I have a beautiful wife at home and kids at home. Yeah, I love them, but there's something else out there that's going to draw my attention, and I'm going to run and want to get to it. And that's just the nature of the beast. And it's always been like that. It always will be like that. It hasn't changed to this day because it was created to be that way.
Yeah, and it feeds the ego and entitlement, right? I mean, you become more and more entitled, and anybody ever pushes back on your BS, then you get angry, right? It's not a good chemical balance.
Well, it's never been good. You know, the ego is insane. The ego is crazy. You know, the ego is a 3-letter word, easing God out, because we become our own God and we have our own principles and we do things our own way. And there's a price to be paid for that. I always tell people, listen, you can pick your sins, but you cannot pick your consequences. The consequences of life is a real reality, and they're going to eventually catch up to you. I don't care who you are. And if you don't think it will, just keep going. And one day you'll realize something's going to happen. Some type of diseases are going to come up on you. That's a consequence. Some type of whatever, break up your marriage is going to come because of this, because you didn't do the right thing. And if you don't learn the lessons from that, you'll stay in that. You'll never think anything's wrong with it. You'll just keep living it out until the day comes where you have to face the consequences of your life.
Yeah. Did you come up with that quote, the consequences quote? Because it's a damn good one. I don't know if you came up with.
My wife came up with that, told me you can pick your sins, but you cannot pick your consequences.
Yeah, that's that's perfect. And getting ready for this, and I mean this as a compliment, you were such a complex subject. There are so many layers to you, including you got colon cancer. Right at the end of your major league career or thereabouts in the late 90s, you overcome that. You did go to prison for nearly a year.
I've done it all.
Yeah. good
I'm
and
glad.
bad, right? It's all part of who you are. It's
but I'm glad I did it all. I'm glad that I got a taste of all of it, because it was really truly a part of the journey for me to become the man that I am today. Had I not went through that all, I don't think I'd be who I am. Had I went to the Hall of Fame, I could tell you I wouldn't have never met Jesus and had a relationship like I do now. I wouldn't have never became someone that fell into ministry, because I definitely wasn't qualified. I only went to high school and got a high school education. But when I picked up the Bible, I got a biblical education from the Holy Spirit. And it's different than an earthly education. It changes the course of everything of your life. But you have to go through some things. Not everybody, but some people, God has to let go through some of the things that I had to go through. So I will be able to have a message to bring back and bring hope to some other people, to show them clearly that God is never finished with you. People are finished with you, but he's never finished with you. He takes the mess of who you are to create the message that he needs to create inside of you, so you can go do what he needs you to do to bring somebody else home to him.
Yeah. Because when you're playing, and I hear this around here with LSU sports, and it's funny, we've got the best fans in the world, and when you're winning and you're getting the love, and then you go 3 for 35 with 20 strikeouts, then you push back. These guys don't know baseball. They never played. We block out the noise. Who cares what they think, right? So trying to please the man on, I'm repeating myself from earlier, but trying to please the man on earth and living for God are two different things.
Totally two different things. You're trying to please man opinion or God's opinion. And then one time when I finally realized that man opinion didn't mean that much and God opinions mean everything about you, because playing sports or whatever you're doing, you're only going to do that for a certain time. And then where's your identity? Who is your identity in? I think people get their identity wrapped around of what they accomplish. Yeah, those things are there. Those trophies are there, but they're there. But they're not going with me when I get ready to die.
Yeah.
They're not going to mean that much when when you're at the end, and which we all will come to, after having so many different things happen to you. I'm just thankful that God saw me different and saw me, which he sees all of us different. It's just those that make that commitment to him and eventually cross over for real. I didn't want to be a hypocrite no more. I didn't want to talk about Jesus and deny the finished work of Jesus at Calvary. So many are talk about it. We know his name, but we deny the power of him. So I had get to a place to understand who he really is and what he has already done for you, so you can go out there and you can live an abundant life in a different way. I'm not talking about a great life, being famous and successful. I'm talking about a life of freedom, a life of peace, a life of joy, a life that that when it comes to the end of it, I know I'm getting out of here. I know I'm going home, because this is not home. This is just a pass through.
How important do you think is your message to younger people now? Because we've never been more superficial as a society. They are driven now to build followers on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. And if they don't have a certain amount of followers, then their worth isn't great. If their skin deep beauty, whatever, their popularity, whatever the case may be, people are bullying each other online. There's a lot of bad stuff happening online, and how it's impacting people, and they're maybe getting away from what they should be focused on.
I think they've been completely deceived by the enemy, and the enemy works through people. And if people are just talking about worldly things, then you're very deceived, because worldly affirmation means nothing. I think once they understand and they get a foundation for themselves at a young age, I wished I could have got a foundation at a young age to understand Christ. Not that you're not going to go through anything, but that means you have something to fall back on. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think a lot of people are just conformed to TikTok, her talk, that talk, and think it's talking and think it's ticking, and it's ticking the wrong way. It's feeding them the wrong information. It's making them believe that you got to be important on these social outlets, or you nobody. Yes, you are somebody. God know who you are. He created you. He didn't make a mistake with none of us. What has happened is we've made a mistake in the society of believing and looking at celebrities on social media and believe that they have it all together. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care how much fame they have. You're going to die, and you're going to have to meet God. And God is not going to play at the end of your life. You may be playing right now and maybe thinking this is a game here and this is a big show. Yes, a show from a worldly standpoint, but from a kingdom standpoint, that's not the case. Because first of all, the Bible talks about it. It says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. That's the reason why people are perishing. There's lack of knowledge. They have knowledge of everything else instead of God's word and his will. And it's been here forever. And I tell people all the time, the Bible is a simple book for complicated people. we are so complicated that we want it to be the way we want it to be, and it will not be the way we want it to be. It's going to be the way it is. You cannot add to it. You cannot change, and you will never fulfill the promises over your life if you don't follow those principles. So my encouragement to kids is to get in church and get around a group of young people who are striving to learn about God's principles, because those principles out there are going to kill you. They darn near killed me, but they'll kill these younger people today, because every young kid has anxiety. Every young kid has this problem. Every young kid needs this pill. And that's a lie from the pit of hell, from the devil himself, that's trying to get you tricked and get you on something so you can't get off of it and you can't become all that God created you to be.
Wow. LSU's legendary basketball coach, Dale Brown, used to say you can put the 10 Commandments on one piece of paper, but the NCAA rule book was yay big, So I guess it's simple, right? I mean, 10 Commandments, if you follow those, you'll probably end up all right.
It's all very simple, but like I said, we're complicated people. We have this way of seeing from the eyes of what we see on television, what we hear on the news, what we see on social media. We think that's real. Young people listen to me, hear me, from a guy that experienced it all. Pick the Bible up. The Bible's real. It's got a revelation inside of it that you cannot even imagine. And when you do learn it, you're going to learn who you are, and you're going to learn how to live according to those principles.
Awesome. I don't need to listen to my rosary in the morning. I'm just going to listen to this interview when I go for a walk.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. I just love that. My job today is to encourage people. God spared me and saved me for a reason. I don't take it for granted. It's not about me. It's not about a platform. It's not about an ego. It's about a man that finally said yes, a yes, a three-letter word, Y-E-S. That means you enjoy salvation. You enjoy the goodness of God because you said yes to him.
Beautiful. My cheap Zoom is going to run out in 8 minutes. So I know your wife has played a large role in your life. I watched an interview. You knew right away she wasn't a superficial person. She said, let's go shopping at Target, right? You'll get good stuff.
Yeah, she's a great Midwestern girl. And she said, let's go shop at Walmart. And she took me into Walmart, and I was like, what the heck is this? She's like, it's a store you need to learn how to shop at. I was like, oh my God, that's a great woman for you, because she's not trying to build you up that you need to continue to live this lifestyle. You think that you can go anywhere and get anything. She's been a blessing. We got a blended family. She brought us all together. We got 9 kids, and she's the centerpiece of the joy of all of us. And we're very fortunate to have her.
Yeah, that sounds like some happy holidays and some loud holidays, right? That's a
very, very happy holidays.
good stuff. All right, some goofy stuff to close. All right, so Strawberry. I don't think I've ever met another person whose last name is Strawberry. I don't think it's ever popped up anywhere else. Your name is unique, isn't it?
It's very unique, and my dad comes from Mississippi, so it's somewhere down in Mississippi that he got a name of Strawberry.
Okay. I can only imagine how many hokey things, cereals. I mean, how many NIL deals or things got pitched to you involving strawberries over the years?
Well, not many. I mean, I'm past that time. I'm old time now, so I'm an old timer. You know, most of the young people don't know what I did and how great probably I was, you know, when I was standing up on the baseball field. They just say, well, I hear about him, but, you know, I heard he went through a lot of things, but he's an old timer.
Well, Darryl, there's something in Hammond, Louisiana down the road called the Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival, April 10th through the 12th.
The Strawberry Festival, good for them. I love that. I've heard about a few places that always have a Strawberry Festival, and I always say when I hear that, woohoo.
You should be their guest of honor one year or something. I don't know.
Maybe I should.
So, and when you go to the doctor and you do your yearly checkup, you're good despite all the stuff you've been through. You're healthy. You look good.
I'm healthy now. I'm healthy as ever now, and I'm glad for the storms of life. I'm glad for the health problems that I had, because everybody's going to have some health problems. We can't control them. The only thing we can really do is wish that we get through them, and we've been able to get through them. Me and my wife, and we're grateful for God's grace over our life.
Well, LSU baseball is home this weekend. I don't know when you're coming in, but it'd be cool for you to go to Elliott Box Stadium. And I don't want to talk that term, but I think you should talk to the team too. Anyway.
I'll have to get down there. I mean, I know I'm coming in on the 22nd. I know I have to get down there and watch a football game one day, because I've always watched the LSU football game on television on ESPN and something, and I just see the amazing of what their fans are and what it is and how live it is there. And of course, I've seen the baseball team play in some tournaments before, and they've been outstanding. The crowd travels with them and travel well.
So you've never been to Tiger Stadium before for a football game?
I've never been to Tiger Stadium for a football game. I've always been dying to get there, and one day I'm gonna get there. Okay.
Well, you mentioned Lane Kiffin before we came on, so maybe the Lane train can get you some tickets this year.
Yeah, he's got a lot on his plate. Let him just focus on LSU. After what he's had to go through of getting there. But he's a great coach, and people can say what they want. He wanted to coach at LSU. Good for him.
Yeah. You had to leave the Mets to go to the Dodgers, right? I mean, it's happened. It's just part of the business.
That's life. I mean, I left the Mets to go to the Dodgers. Left the Dodgers, end up with the Yankees. It's part of the business, and it is what it is. Everybody want to criticize, and everybody has an opinion. He brings a winner there. That's all that matters to the fans down there for the LSU Tigers.
All right. The great Darryl Strawberry in closing, Family Worship Center, Sunday, March 22nd, 10 a.m. service, 6 p.m. service, and then an autograph meet and greet with the great Darryl Strawberry after the 6 p.m. service. Any advice about, hey, maybe bring one baseball or one jersey, don't go overboard with it, or
just don't go overboard. I love fans. The Family Worship Center is an incredible place. Jimmy Swagger, I've watched him, for a long time, and he taught me something about the message of the cross that never left me. It changed my life forever. So I'm forever thankful for him to have an opportunity with his family and be with them on that Sunday morning and that Sunday evening. Don't go crazy. It's not an autograph show. It's come there to seek God, but I will take a picture and meet and greet with you, and I will sign a baseball card or baseball. Don't come with like 10 items for me to sign.
God wouldn't like that. That's greed, right?
That's overdoing it. So, but be there. It's going to be a great time to worship with him.
Well, Darryl, as somebody who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, it was a pleasure to talk to you today. I loved watching you play and hit a baseball and steal bases. I didn't talk to you about that. You were a great base stealer and a big guy at 6'5", 6'6", and a part of a lot of great memories for people. So I really appreciate you doing this today, and I appreciate this second phase of your life and the message that you're spreading.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm glad you reached out to me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.